of the DeSoto County School Board to order. Do you please stand for the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If there are no changes to the agenda, and I see none, your recommendation, sir?
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve the agenda.
I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Got two items here for executive session that I'll ask the board to consider. Both of those are facility use items. Also, in your board packet, in the section there, you'll see the TSI and the ATSI reports are included also for your review. Also, I have given each of you two handouts. One is the back to school plan from the fall. Is the updated version for the second semester. And then you've got a sheet that's got the changes or the additions to that. I just want to run through those additions real quick for you. Is the first section you'll see there is an operational guidelines. That is regarding absentee policy for the month of January. We are temporarily for this month saying that if a child is showing symptoms but cannot get tested, that the parent will notify the attendance clerk will mark the student as quarantined while they're waiting testing. The reason that we're doing that is because there's a real problem with people being able to get available tests. We don't want there to be any barrier to where a parent feels like they should send their child to school if they've got symptoms. We don't want them to worry about the attendance standpoint. So we're asking the board to approve that for the entire month of January. And then what we'll do is reassess that throughout the month. And if we need to extend it, we will. If not, it'll end at the end of the month. The second portion on your handout ties in with the new CDC guidelines regarding quarantines and isolation and testing. And it is more in line with what the CDC just issued regarding the 5 days and the 5 days and then 5 days with a mask. Also, in your personnel packet today, you'll see that as it applies to employees. That'll be included too. And so, Mr. Keith, can you comment a little bit on what you're seeing?
Yeah, Madam President, this is the same kind of thing that we're seeing throughout the state. Most school districts are doing exactly the same thing. And while, we hit the surge everywhere, people are seeing 25% absences and things like that. This is very consistent with what those others are doing. And hopefully this is going to be an effective way to respond to this, especially with the short time frame of the illnesses that we are seeing.
Any board members have any comment or questions?
This will automatically run out at the end of January, right?
The top part, the attendance part, yes, sir, will. But as far as the quarantines and the isolations, I'm sorry, I wasn't real clear on that. That will be in place for the remainder of the school year. But the attendance part, we'll reevaluate it at the end of January to determine if we need to do it. Right, if the cases aren't as high and you also have more availability to testing, it may not be necessary. We didn't have it in place in the fall, but it may be something that we want to keep in place. That way, if they're only about a day or two, they would have it in there. The main thing we want to do is encourage people to stay at home.
Yes.
The achievement testing is going on as usual this spring, right?
Every indication we've got is that we'll still have state tests just like always. Of course, in 2020, we didn't have it in the spring. And then last school year, we had state testing, but it was just used as a benchmark for our teachers and students, our teachers and administrators this year, so they would know where their students measured proficiency-wise and growth-wise. And then that information will be used then for state testing this year. But all indications are this year is that there will be state testing. There will definitely be, there'll be state testing just like it was last year, but also all indications are there'll be accountability that goes along with it, where everything will be released like it was in the past. MDE this year just released proficiency thing.
And these guidelines are consistent with the CDC guidelines, and as we know, they may be making some changes later on, but what it would be, that's what they are now, and it really does make it, I think, better for our parents and our staff, in that it gives us an option and an ability to get back to some of those as soon as we can.
If there are not any other questions, Madam President, I'd like to recommend to the board to adopt the updated return to learn plan or updated back to school plan.
Do I have a motion to adopt the new plan for back to school?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Madam President. And we have special guests here with us today from Oak Grove Central Elementary School. I'll ask Principal Stacy Partle to please come forward. She has a teacher spotlight segment. I'll let her introduce that.
Hey there, how are y'all this afternoon? When I became principal at Oak Grove Central 5 years ago, I had three main goals. Create a sense of unity and build leadership capacity among our staff. Have a strategic focus on growth from scheduling, student support to differentiated instruction. And also for us to continue the academic excellence where there is student ownership, teacher collaboration, and cross-curricular instruction. The three fifth grade teachers that you will hear from today, Ms. Gilbert, Ms. Howell, and Ms. Williamson, have embraced this collaborative, differentiated, data-driven concept in their teaching. They've created an environment for students to explore, make mistakes, and solve problems, all while making learning fun, innovative, and challenging. So, at this time, I'd like to turn it over to our fabulous trio of doctors, scientists, maybe it's princesses. Oh, no, I'm sorry, detectives. Well, we're so glad to be here with you today and to share a little bit about what is happening at Oak Grove Central. Ms. Pirtle wanted us to emphasize some really great things that we have going on at our school. And one thing our school does really well is creating learning environments where students are actively engaged. In the video you just watched is a glimpse of a unit we did right before Christmas where Santa was missing. And it was a collaborative unit that incorporated science, math, and English. And as you notice, the kids were most definitely engaged, but they were also having a lot of fun with some really rigorous content. And that's what we wanted to happen. So if this was our classroom and you were our students, we might dress like this. And we might also help you become a part of the lesson by giving out something that we have given you And those are some fake mustaches. So if you feel so inclined to put on your mustache, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But you saw in the video, our students were all about a mustache or a unibrow or wherever. So that's something that we might do to really involve them. I love that y'all are putting on your mustaches.
Is this the right way to wear this?
I don't know that there is a right way or a wrong way. So for just a moment, we want to share some of the things that we do, ways that we strive to keep our students involved and excited about learning. And so the first person you're going to hear from is Lori.
So one of the things we really like to use is costumes. And as you can see, we're willing to look silly or do whatever we need to do so that the kids can get excited about whatever we're teaching. Dressing the part to teach our unit, it builds excitement, it builds energy. From the first second the student walks down the hallway and they see us standing there at our doors, they're like, oh, what are we doing today? And they just get so excited. And then when you let the students dress up too, it allows them to just get immersed in the lesson. They are part of it just like we are, and they feel like they're a part of that. So if you're teaching a division lesson or something and it's around a baseball theme, then throw on a baseball hat and put on a uniform, wear a cap, maybe bring a glove to school with you that day. And if we're all in, they're all in. So, and now Miss Howell is going to talk to you about the different games that we play.
So with anything, games can be keeping students involved in learning, even if you're reviewing something or just introducing a hard topic. I know with my students, when we get to a main idea, it's something that we sometimes struggle with, especially with the complex text. And while we are reviewing, we do several games. As you see on the screen, we play Target, Jenga. I remember when Fortnite was big, we even played Fortnite in an educational way. We've done Pie Face, basketball shootout. And these are just creative ways that we can use games to share among our team and our school, just so that the whole school can have fun as well. And they love it, especially when the teacher does the pie face as well and the whipped cream hits our face. So just using those games in multiple ways to review and reinforce skills and even to remediate in small groups really helps students learn the material better.
So another thing we like to do that we can't do all the time because it takes a little more time and planning, and that's room transformations. But if you can turn your classroom into a totally different setting, students come in so enamored in what you're going to do. And so these are a couple of things that we have done in the past few years. Two of our favorites, our hospital is always so much fun. And this was before masks were a thing, that these were donated by local community doctors' offices and hospitals would donate the hair nets and the masks and the gloves. And so as they came in, we put them into costume and really got them to play into the part. And they come in and we had a beeping heart monitor on our smart board with the heartbeat, and it would stop and they would have to work really extra hard to get the patient back and those sorts of things. But they would operate on the different drawings of the body, and they would have one that might have English passages, reading passages, one might have math problems. And so in that way, we did cross-curricular things with all of our subjects. And it was so much fun. The kids really loved it. And it's really easy to go across the curriculums. The other one was the Chemical Change Cafe. And so as they came into the classroom, it was a science unit where they had done chemical and physical changes, and they had to go from table to table and decide if the food on that table had been cooked with a chemical change or a physical change. So that was at the end of the unit, and they had to make that decision based on their knowledge. And so it was just a fun way to assess and see if they had really gotten the material before test time had come. So room transformations are a lot of fun, and we do those a few times a year.
Everybody loves to win. We're all a little competitive, whether you want to admit it or not. And we utilize like prizes and rewards throughout the week. Our team all have our own prize wheels, and the students love to spin. They love to get praise for positive behavior, and that's what we use those for. Ms. Williamson does a math lottery each week to reward for the completion of homework. And they draw tickets and get rewards for that for hers. We celebrate all academic growth. So no matter how small, with candy prizes, coupons donated by local restaurants, a pass to enjoy lunch on the school patio. You can bring a friend on the school patio, hot chocolate. We set up like hot chocolate bar. And then students are just super motivated to show growth whenever you reward their hard work. They like to be rewarded for what they've done.
Relevant topics of interest. In my classroom and reading, I encourage the love of reading by letting students choose what they are reading during read around the room time. On the left-hand side of the screen, you see students reading with flashlights. We did a genre of writing of narratives, and I told them that your unit is going to be a spooky narrative. I taught them the mode of writing, but I had them choose how they were going to set it up, their problem, their solution, their setting. And then they got to present it the way they wanted to do it. They got to use their speaking voice in a way that could be scary. They could lower their tone, and then at the scary part, they could raise their voice up. And some of them even asked, can we bring in flashlights and read from that, just to kind of get the tone set up in the spooky form. Also, with topics of interest, they love escape rooms, and they get to choose the way to solve the problem. That's just another way that they can express themselves from learning. When they're doing science in science class, they can express themselves by studying in a way where they're giving a choice on how to study their knowledge. And it can range from making flashcards to creating a comic strip just to show understanding. We just want all students to love learning and grow on their pace.
So finally, our administration works hard to facilitate collaboration, and we really appreciate that because that gives us time as a team to brainstorm and kind of think outside the box. Often you'll find yourself paired up without knowing ahead of time that you're going to be paired up with different personalities. And in our case, we feel like we have a dreamer, a designer, and a doer. And if you just had a dreamer, there's no one to plan and design. And if you just had a doer, you might have all of these problems because there wasn't time to dream a little bit about what could be better or to design. And so we feel very fortunate that we are a team where we've kind of gotten put together, and our administration has really been wonderful to help us foster that and give us time to work together to make these kind of things happen. And so we all need each other, and that collaboration is so key to keep our kids engaged, because the main thing that we have found is that engaged students are students that are learning. And if they love what they are doing, they will be at school, so attendance will be high. And if they love what they are doing, there will not be a ton of need for remediation. If they are really invested in the activity that we have put in front of them, they are going to be learning. So students that are engaged are students that are learning, and that's what we want to share with you today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That was awesome.
Who's the dreamer, the designer, and the doer of the group?
We were just talking in the hall.
Yeah.
I'm definitely the designer, because sometimes they'll have a plan, or they'll say, let's do this. And Miss Howell will say, let's do it tomorrow. And I'll say, let's do it in 2 weeks, because I'm the planner. And sometimes Miss Gilbert will say, oh, I like that. And I'll say, but have you thought through this? And she'll say, no. So we really do. And if I didn't have them, I wouldn't dream of anything. They're the dreamers, and then I'm helping them figure out how to do it. So we really do work well together.
Great team.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Great presentation. Thank you, Ms. Partle. Appreciate you putting that together for us today. Thank y'all for the mustaches. I don't know if it'll last through the whole meeting. Yeah, the blues were here, so. Yeah. Thank y'all for coming. If y'all need to leave, you can. Welcome. All right. And that concludes the superintendent.
Attorney's report.
Yeah, Madam President, I'm concerned about what the next school is going to make us do. You know, the mustache was easy enough. I'm kind of worried. I have one matter that's a potential litigation of a financial matter that we need to discuss in executive session.
You should have received copies of the December 14th and 15th meetings and 16th. All right. Let me get back to where I am. The 15th and 16th meeting. If there are no changes, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented, both of them?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda, your recommendation, sir, I see no changes.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. New business. We have a new Mr. Williams.
Substitute.
Okay. Cafeteria, bids on cafeteria expansion at DeSoto Central High School.
Yes, ma'am. Bids were open on December 8th for the cafeteria expansion at DeSoto Central High School. Based on the bids in your board package, it is my recommendation to accept the lowest and best bid from Murphy and Sons.
Your recommendation, sir?
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve accepting the lowest and best bid from Murphy and Sons for the cafeteria expansion at DeSoto Central High School.
Do I have a motion for the cafeteria expansion at DeSoto Central High School?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contractual agreement with Murphy and Sons.
We're asking permission to enter a contract with Murphy and Sons Inc. for the cafeteria expansion at DeSoto Central.
Recommendation.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve entering into a contractual agreement with Murphy and Sons for the cafeteria expansion at DeSoto Central High School.
I have a motion for the contractual agreement with Murphy and Sons.
I so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Chemical, bids for chemical treatment service with Lawn Care.
Yes, ma'am. Bids were open on December 9th for chemical treatment services for the DeSoto County Schools. Based on the bids and the board packet, it is my recommendation to accept the lowest and best bid from Long and Best Solutions.
Your recommendation, sir.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve and accept the lowest and best bid from Lawn and Pest Solutions for chemical treatment services for lawn care.
I have a motion and a second for the lawn care and specialist.
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contractual agreement, Clean and Green Lawns Incorporated.
Yes, we're asking permission to enter a contract with Clean and Green Homes with the other agency.
Doing business is lawn and pest solutions, okay? That's a lot.
Yeah.
Recommendation, sir.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve entering into a contractual agreement with Clean and Green Lawn and Pest Solutions.
Do I have a motion for this contractual agreement?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Bids for classroom additions at Hernando Hills Elementary.
Yes, bids were open on December 8th for an 8 classroom addition at Hernando Hills Elementary. Based on the bids in the board packet, it is my recommendation to accept the lowest and best bid from TDL Contractor.
Recommendation, sir.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve, accept the lowest and best bid from TDL Contractors for the classroom additions at Hernando Hills Elementary School.
Motion to approve the classroom additions at Hernando Elementary.
I so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Contractual agreement with TDL Contractors for the Hernando Hills addition.
Yes, ma'am. We're asking permission to enter into contract with TDL Contractors Inc. for an 8 classroom addition at Hernando.
Your recommendation, sir?
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve entering into a contractual agreement with TDL Contractors for the classroom additions at Hernando Hills Elementary School.
Do I have a motion for the contractual agreement with TDL Contractors?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Classroom additions at South Haven Intermediate School.
Yes, ma'am. Bids were opened on December 14th for a floor classroom addition at South Haven Intermediate School. Based on the bids in your board packet, it is my recommendation to accept the lowest and best bid from Murphy and Sons.
Recommendations, sir, on South Haven Intermediate.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve the entering into the bids for the classroom additions at SIS from Murphy and Sons. Accept those bids.
Have a motion to accept the bids from Murphy and Sons.
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Contractual agreement with Murphy and Sons for SIS.
Yes, ma'am. We're asking permission to enter contract with Murphy and Sons, Inc. for a floor classroom addition at South Haven.
Your recommendations, sir.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve entering into a contractual agreement with Murphy and Sons for the classroom additions at South Haven Intermediate School.
Do I have a motion for the contractual agreement with Murphy and Sons?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Bids for internet filter services.
Yes, ma'am. Bids were opened on December 8th for the internet filter service for DeSoto County Schools. You'll see in your board packet, there were two vendors that bid on the project. We had to reject one bid due to not meeting the minimum specifications outlined in the bid specs. So based on the bids in your packet, it is my recommendation to accept the bid from Borderland.
Your recommendation, sir, on the internet filter services.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve the bid from Borderland for the internet filter services.
Do I have a motion to approve Borderland for the filter services?
Make that motion.
I have a
Make that
second.
motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Bids for the notebook computer.
Yes, ma'am. Bids were opened on December 14th for the purchase of netbook computers for the district. Based on the bids in your board packet, it is my recommendation to accept the lowest and best bid from Dell Martin.
Your recommendation, sir.
Madam President, I recommend to the board to approve the lowest and best bid, Dell Marketing, for the netbook computers.
Do I have a motion to approve Dell Marketing for the computer?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Partial HVAC replacement at DeSoto Central High School.
Yes, ma'am. Bids were opened on December 7th for a partial HVAC replacement at DeSoto Central High School. Based on the bids in your board packet, it's my recommendation to accept the lowest and best bids from American Refrigeration.
Your recommendation, sir.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve the lowest and best bid from American Refrigeration for the partial HVAC replacement at DeSoto Central High School.
Do I have a motion to approve the bid from American Refrigeration? Heating and Air.
I'll make that motion.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contractual agreement with American Refrigeration Heating and Air Conditioning.
Yes, ma'am. We're asking for permission to enter into a contract with American Refrigeration for a partial HVAC replacement.
Recommendation, sir.
Madam President, I recommend to the board to approve entering into a contractual agreement with American Refrigeration Heating and Air Conditioning for the partial HVAC replacement at DeSoto Central High School.
Do I have a motion to approve the contractual agreement with American Heating and Air Conditioning High School?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Partial HVAC for Upper Park Elementary. Lewisburg. Oh, I'm sorry, Lewisburg.
That's right. Bids were opened on December 7th for a partial HVAC replacement at Lewisburg Elementary. Based on the bids in your board packet, is my recommendation to accept the lowest and best bids from American Refrigeration.
Your recommendation, sir.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve the lowest and best bid from American refrigeration, heating, and air conditioning for the partial HVAC replacement at Lewisburg Elementary School.
Do I have a motion to approve the partial heating and air for Lewisburg Elementary?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contractual agreement with American Heating and Air for Lewisburg.
Yes, ma'am. We're asking for permission to enter a contract with American Refrigeration for a partial HVAC replacement at Lewisburg.
The recommendations are,
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve entering into a contractual agreement with American Refrigeration, Heating, and Air Conditioning for the partial HVAC replacement at Lewisburg Elementary School.
do I have a motion for the contractual agreement with American Refrigeration for Lewisburg Elementary?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Partial HVAC for Oak Park Elementary.
Bids were open on December 7th for a partial HVAC replacement for Overland Park Elementary School. Based on the bids in your board packet, it is my recommendation to accept the lowest and best bid from South Central Heating and Plumbing.
Your recommendation, sir.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve the lowest and best bid from South Central Heating and Plumbing for the partial HVAC replacement at Overland Park Elementary School.
Partial approval of the bids for the partial HVAC in Oak Park Elementary. Do I have a motion for that?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Contractual agreement with South Central Heating and Plumbing.
Yes, ma'am. We're asking permission to enter into a contract with South Central Heating and Plumbing for a partial HVAC replacement.
Recommendation, sir.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve entering into a contractual agreement with South Central Heating and Plumbing for the partial HVAC replacement at Overland Park Elementary School.
Do I have a motion for the contractual agreement for South Central Heating and Plumbing for Oak Park Elementary?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Interactive projectors bids.
Yes, ma'am. Bids were opened on December 14th for the purchase of interactive projectors for the district. Based on the bids in your board packet, it's my recommendation to accept the lowest and best bid from the CDWG.
Your recommendation, sir. From the interactive projectors.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve the lowest and best bid from CDWG for the interactive projectors.
Do I have a motion to approve the bid for the projectors from CDWG?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Permission to convert softball concessions stand at Hernando High School.
Yes, ma'am. The HHS Softball Booster Club is requesting school board permission to convert that part of the concession stand facility into a team locker room. The Booster Club has raised the funds for the project, and the project has the approval of the principal, which is also in your packet. DCS does not see that this would be a problem for long-term use of the facility. After 3 more years, I'll just know we're probably softball. So, but they've worked it out, and our guys are going out there, and we're okay with the project. There's nothing that can't be turned back.
Okay, very good. Your recommendations.
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve the converting of the softball concession stand for Hernando High School softball.
I have a motion to approve the permission to convert the softball concession stand from the Hernando School. Softball.
Is it only part of it? So they're still gonna.
Well,
have
the public
concessions?
bathrooms will still be there. It's just the
Oh.
face of it. They're going to sell concessions remotely like food trucks out. It's one of our locations where we have a softball field that's not on the high school campus. So they have to put, the only thing we've ever put there in the boosters actually raised it years ago was just a shed that's out there where they keep the lawn.
Yeah.
So the girls really don't have a changing area or a place to put their stuff. And so, we kind of, we blew through the problem. But they're okay.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Since Ms. Graves is not here, I guess you're gonna help us with the recommendation of bank
I've been
reconciliation.
waiting a while to say this. All bank statements have been reconciled with no exceptions.
Your recommendation, sir?
Madam President, I recommend the board to approve the certification of bank reconciliations from November 2021.
Do I have a motion to approve the bank reconciliation from November 2021? And a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Mr. Williams Chase. Personnel, Mr. Alexander.
Yes, ma'am. Personnel pay this afternoon, pages 1 and 2 are recommendations. Page 3 and 4, personnel changes. Page 5 is a memo for myself on the CDC update on the guidance for COVID-19 and the recommended time for isolation for employees. Page 6 is a memo for myself for administrative leave and pay for January 3rd and January 6th, 2022. This is a result of delayed starts due to inclement weather conditions. Page 7 is a memo for myself on permission for Ms. Stacy Brandon, staff accountant, to transfer to the payroll department to begin training as the assistant payroll manager. She will remain at her current salary as she trains until the retirement transition occurs. Page 8 is request for additional pay from Ms. Carol Ingram on teachers who will work as after-school tutors at Hernando Elementary School for no more than 9.5 hours per week, be paid at $27 per hour beginning January 7th. That is ending June 30th, 2022, and page 9 is a list of those teachers that will work.
Your recommendation, personnel, sir?
Madam President, I recommend to the board to approve personnel as presented.
I have a motion to approve personnel as presented.
I make that motion.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Residency appeals, Mr. Cole.
Yes, ma'am, I have 2 items as executive session.
Mr. Finley.
Madam Chair, we ask the municipal matters to address the executive session.
Okay. This is a public comment session that we have at the beginning of every monthly meeting. As a board, we welcome public participation in our board meetings. While this is not a debate setting or a question and answer, we reserve this time at our regular board meeting for public comment and for citizens who have requested to us here. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment? Seeing no one, we have no request to appear, correct? Ms. Beth? We do not have. I will consider a motion to go into executive session for our residency appeals, our student appeals, for the 2 facility uses and for the facility use that the superintendent is. Do I have a motion? And the potential litigation. That's right. Do I have a motion? Consideration motion for closed session.
I make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Chase will come back and tell you whether we're going to stay in executive session.